Okay, Polymarket just in. 1 million New Yorkers claim they will flee the city if Mamdani wins tomorrow, to which my compatriot responded, we're calling it based Nakba.
Yes,
If
that's
you
the
if
base
you don't
Nakba.
follow the Keaton Weiss account, he's been dropping a lot of bangers this week. It's
That's
been
our
pretty fucking
Nakba
funny. Yes,
tomorrow.
that's
Yes.
based Nakba. We should
Um.
okay. Now that's a shirt we should make.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So you're telling me there's going to be cheaper rents, more free seats on the subway, and fewer overbearing Jewish racists. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, all
yes,
right.
all of which we are gonna take a look at.
Yeah.
This meme was probably pretty on point. If you read a lot of these things, I spoke to 10 blacks, all Cuomo. The polls actually have Cuomo leading. If Mamdani wins, I am leaving New York. Yeah, it's probably a bunch of people working in a bot farm who are putting up those comments. Because do you ever meet people who actually believe things like this or say things like this? Like, it's a very small number of people that is greatly overrepresented online. Now, that is partly the loser living online factor, but it's also partly artificial astroturf engagement. George Santos. I don't know why you would tweet something like this. Sadly, if you're George Santos, sadly, it seems that my family and I will be departing the city I've called home my entire life. NYC will become a very dangerous place to live in if we elect Mayor Mamdani, and that is a risk I am unwilling to take now that I want to start growing my family. To which that gay guy candle company responded, "You're leaving because of Mamdani? Sounds like he's already taking care of crime." Now, just to point out how deeply unserious the people who are supporting Trump, who are part of MAGA, who are backing Cuomo, these Republicans or right-wing Democrats, what a bunch of fucking freaks, hypocrites, and losers these people are. They scream about crime. They love this guy George Santos. I saw that at the Bronx MAGA rally. George Santos was there working for OAN. Everybody wanted to get a selfie with him. Everybody loved him. You're going to talk about corruption, and this is what you embrace. At that point, you're just a fucking weirdo. Like, you're just a weirdo. These are very that is one thing Waltz got right. These people are very weird. They are very weird.
Yeah. That was good
Rosenberg.
branding.
My Long Island crew will be mad, but I have to be honest. I'm happy for George Santos and glad he's going home. He was on with me 3 days before he went away and was very sorry for what he did. He was sincere. Great move by Donald Trump. Enjoy your second chance, George. Okay, man, you could go scream about samurai in Times Square, or you can glaze George Santos and wish him well getting out of prison. You can't do both. But they know they're not talking to the brightest, and they're not, from meeting Sid Rosenberg, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer himself. But here's the New York Post ginning this up. Spoiler alert. 1 million people are not leaving New York. I wish they would, but they're not gonna. Nearly 1 million New Yorkers ready to flee NYC if Mamdani becomes mayor, possibly igniting largest exodus in history. Poll. Around 765,000 people of the 8.4 million residents who call New York City home are preparing to leave, with about 9% of New Yorkers sharing that they would definitely leave the city if Mamdani is elected the 111th mayor. The Daily Mail reported, well, there you go, of course, citing a survey conducted by JL Partners, the very reputable JL Partners there. Another 25% of New Yorkers, about 2.12 million, said they would consider packing up and leaving. Among high earners, 7% of those making over 250,000 a year said they would definitely flee. Men were more likely than women to say they'd leave. 12% of men and 7% of women say they're sure to move, with roughly, well, as a single man in New York City, that math works for me, with roughly a quarter of each group considering it. Voters ages 50 to 64 showed the strongest desire to flee, with 12% certain and 33% weighing a move, according to the poll. By race, 13% of white New Yorkers and 11% of Asian residents said they would definitely leave. Staten Island voters led the stampede with 21% saying they'd go and another 54% considering it. Again, the 100% could leave. We wouldn't notice. In Manhattan, 6% say they'd flee and 20% are unsure. In Brooklyn, it's 8% and 18%.
Well, I can't
Now,
wait. Maybe the family and I will be moving back.
Maybe you'll come back. Now, this is how tone deaf these people are. They think that's a threat, and really, it's very don't threaten me with a good time. I have a section if you watched my Weird New York tour online or if you came in person. I talk about the Will Smith movie because I go to the place where he's supposed to have lived in what's it called?
Yeah, on Washington Square, right?
Yeah. What's the name of the movie?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend.
Yeah.
So I talk about that and I say, when New Yorkers watch these kinds of movies where Godzilla destroys New York, I swear to you, every single New Yorker is wondering what the rent would be if that happened. Every single New Yorker. So you see Will Smith move into the row, live in one of those townhouses off Washington Square Park. You're like, yeah, bring on the vampire apocalypse. The idea that a million people leaving New York to New Yorkers, to real New Yorkers, not billionaires who are enjoying living in an outdoor mall for the affluent, like actual New Yorkers. The idea that that's a threat is very don't threaten me with a good time. And especially these kinds of people. Addie, I'm one of them. Okay, well, let's look at her profile. Writer, news, USA, Israel, photos, Zionist. Bye. Bye. Who do you think is gonna not see that as a selling point that people like you are gonna get the fuck out of New York City? Israeli Consul General even said that many will sell their properties in New York and move to Florida if Mamdani wins. This just keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better. Wait, there's more. There's more. Israelis say they will never visit New York City if Mamdani wins and becomes mayor. Where do I sign? Where do I sign? How do I expedite that?
Katz's will lower price on signature pastrami sandwich.
Yeah. Ricky Lucero. This will be great for New Yorkers. People selling their properties and moving out reduces demands, which will lower prices. You're not doing a great job of making this sound terrible. Ding, 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 ding. Exactly. Kenneth Cole, of all fucking people. Under a Mayor Mamdani, New York's fastest growing export will be New Yorkers. Ooh, hashtag if the shoe fits. So I responded to that. Are you saying that you're going to leave and take all the criminal gentrifying scumbags that have turned NYC into an outdoor shopping mall for the affluent with you? And you think average working people will see that as a bad thing? Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, douche. And James Lee lays this out very well because this is what everybody in New York is thinking. He doesn't even live here and he figured this out.
Now, it's been a second since I've taken a class on this, but based on supply and demand, I remember this chart, less demand means lower prices. Wouldn't this be an instant win for Mamdani, who the only thing he talks about is this affordability crisis? And once again, based on just this chart, the rent prices would come down without him even doing anything. So then I put all this information into Grok and asked it to estimate what the rent impact would be if 9% of the population just left. And it did this whole calculation and it came up with the answer right here, which is minus 14%, meaning that there will be an estimated 14% decrease in the monthly average rent, or around $560 per month. That's pretty slick. So of course, Elon Musk wants to remind people that a vote for Curtis Sliwa is really a vote for Mamdani, or whatever his name is. Vote Cuomo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That New York, in my experience, kind of hit its sweet spot for like normal people pretty much in the 90s. Pretty much in the 90s. Look, realistically, people who are, in the arts like me would enjoy a 1978 New York. I'm a reasonable madman. I understand that wasn't good for like the average person or families, and there were dangers there that for someone who's just trying to live their life are not worth braving so that CBGBs can be cool. I get that. All right. You had this little window in the mid 90s where you still had the after effects of white flight. The city had emptied out. That's why everything was so cheap in the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. It took some time for all of these suburban kids to come in, drawn by this post Giuliani promise of it's going to be a very low crime New York, followed by Bloomberg, who came in and said it's going to be catered to wealthy upscale consumerists. Sex and the City to me was the big sandwich board that helped to bring all of these people in. I literally knew a lot of people in the 90s, particularly women, obviously, who moved to the city with that fantasy. And that's a very different kind of person from the people who had come there before, who came, they were drawn by the mystique of the Ramones or Joseph Papp to the theater. They wanted to do Shakespeare in the Park. The kind of person who just wants to come and wear Jimmy Choos, that's a really different kind of a person. And they remade the city in their image. And part of what made that possible was this increasing population density, where you had the combination of more demand and a more upscale kind of person driving that demand. And it killed the city's soul. The whole time that I was growing up, yeah, I'd always hear from the older people. I was that kind of kid. I love to listen to the adults talk. They're also, oh, somebody has to clean up the city. Somebody has to clean up the city, and that's how Giuliani got elected. You talk to those same people 10 years later. I miss the clam bar that used to be there. I miss the way it used to be. They never anticipated that when it got cleaned up, it wasn't going to be cleaned up for them. It was going to be cleaned up for carpetbaggers who were going to come in and displace them and get rid of everything that they loved. And that's where we are now. So when you hear them talking about they're going to leave for real New Yorkers, good. Get the fuck out of here, please. Please give us back the pre-Bloomberg New York City. Now, in reality, you can't get that back. It's a different world. It's a different culture. It's a different society. It's a different world. You're not going to get that back. But will you get back a place that working people can live in again? Maybe. I think you can't really even get that without having some kind of a revolution, and you can't have a revolution just in a city. Like there are questions there of how they're going to, just like they punish socialist countries, they're going to punish New York. They're going to punish this city. Trump, I don't think he's bluffing about withholding funds from New York. What does that do? Does that turn it back into a cool place to live? Maybe. It remains to be seen how that plays out. A lot of people will leave, though, and I can tell you, as somebody born and raised here, most of them are going to be the people who should leave.
Well, yeah, I mean, they are going to sabotage New York, and that is really why a lot of these, very rich people have been so adamant that Mamdani must be stopped, because they don't want to have to sabotage New York. They love it. It's a playground for the rich now.
Right.
They don't want to have to punish New York. They love New York, but they cannot have an example be set. Like, don't forget, like, now people are assuming that, Mamdani is going to be the thing that the Republicans run against next year, because Mamdani is going to be so horrible in New York that we're going to use Mamdani to brand the Democrats as all these socialists who destroy cities, and that's going to save our ass in the midterms. That's what the Republicans are thinking right now. And it is in the interest of the oligarchs to make that happen. And the way they make that happen is to sabotage the city, which they would have rather not done, because they love it, because it is their playground now. But I thought this is a fitting end to this segment. The Mamdani campaign just released this video on their socials, which I think is nicely done.
The next and last stop is City Hall.
There you go.
Boom.
Nicely done.
Nicely done.
Nice work. Nice work.
Please clap.